second to you in terms of longevity in the Big Ten. What advice would you have for him to get from 12 years to 47?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big one on giving advice, but I'm only chuckling a little bit. I just think it's a sad commentary that, I've been there 20. If I can make it through the season, it'll be 27. So it's never going to happen again. In this world, I don't see anybody being able to stay or wanting to stay somewhere that long. It's just because the world's changed that way, and we have so many more critics and experts out there than we used to have. So it's made it really tough, I think, for people to coach. And it's always been true in the NFL, although that whole thing's blown up as well. And, we're not the most patient group as a society of sports fans. So it's a different world, And the only thing I could say is you can't worry about it. You just do your job. And people are going to tell you to sit down, or you'll figure it out. It's time to sit down. One of the two, but it's going to happen.
What are your impressions then of James at Penn State? You maybe seen the
Well, he's done a great job. I mean, there's nothing to say, but he's done a great job. And you may or may not know I grew up in that part of the country. I wanted to go to Penn State. It's a matter of record. There's a reason Coach Paterno won all the games he won. They didn't offer me a scholarship, and for good reason. I couldn't run. I wasn't very big. But they were great in the 60s, 70s. That's what I grew up watching, the Steelers in the 70s. So I've had great respect for that program, know a lot about it, and that success and tradition of carried on for that's probably started somewhere in the mid-60s when Coach Paterno took over from Coach Angle.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? Good to see you. Coach, would you welcome the SEC challenge at your stage in your career? Would that be something fun for you?
Yes and no. I'm not sure I know all the details of it, but I know this: we play one more conference game than they do, so that's a good deal for them. And that's I'm not great in math, but the math has to work in my mind. So, and currently we play 9 conference games, and our 10th is against Iowa State. So for us to tell Iowa State we're not playing them and go play, I'm not sure I would sign up for that, quite frankly. In fact, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't, with all due respect to the SEC. But we've already got a world that we're living in that we're comfortable in and whatever. But if they end up going to 9 games like we do, or we go to 8 like they do, then maybe it's a discussion. Right now, I don't think it's even worth talking about.
Do you have a preference? Do you have a preference on the college football playoff, 5-11 or the 4-4, 2-2, 3-1?
I just said a minute ago, once we went past 1-1, to me it might as well have been 16. To go to 4, I don't know what purpose that served, but yeah. So I'd rather whatever we end up coming with, but the model that I think all of us are in agreement in the Big Ten is good. I think we're unanimous. I don't want to speak for the other guys, but I fully support what the commissioner has put forward, and we'll see what happens.
What's the best thing about coaching quarterbacks? What's something you've learned over the years coaching that position, right?
Quarterbacks? They don't want me coaching the quarterbacks. I yell at them every time there's an exchange. The only thing I can tell you about quarterbacks that maybe makes me unique, everywhere I've ever been, it's always the center's fault when there's a quarterback-center exchange. And we actually do have center-quarterback exchanges. We're not shotgun every play. But I always tell our quarterbacks, if there's the ball's on the ground, you're at fault, not the center. That's the way it is. So get with the center and get it straight. That's your job.
Coach Farentz, with a year under Tim Lester's belt, how do you see improvements in quarterback comfortability, timing, and overall offensive prowess as it comes into the season?
Ironically, none of our top 3 quarterbacks were here last fall, so they're all going through the same thing. But for the overall group, for the overall offense, everybody, it's a lot more fluid now because it was all new a year ago. I said earlier, I've never in my career been involved in the West Coast offense. Certainly knew about it in the NFL. It's a very different offense in terms of communications. It's very wordy, a lot of verbiage. And I've always been in systems where it's as concise as possible. So that was an exchange, but it was a bigger exchange for me because I have a bigger knowledge base. Our players took to it real easily, but everything's a lot more fluid now than it was certainly a year ago. And quarterbacks are doing just fine with it.
Where do you feel like cornerback competition at this point? Corner, not corner.
Oh, corner?
Corner.
Yes.
Corner. Where do you feel like the competition is at in terms of data things starting?
Eager to see, really anxious to see. I think, first thing, the 2 guys that played the most, TJ and Deshaun, both took big steps in the spring. You know, they've played, but they were surviving. And I don't mean it maybe in those terms, but you know, they're capable of doing better, hopefully down the road. And that's part of the growth process. And really saw them start to take those strides and have some of the confidence that you hope that has this spring. So I think they both improved, and they're really good prospective guys. And I've got a lot of love for what Jalen Watson does. I think, you know, he saw him do things on special teams that were really hard to do. I'm thinking about one particular punt. He was blocking their gunner right in front of our bench, and he did a really nice job. And that's really hard to do. I'm thinking about Dallas Clark blocking as our center on the kick return team 25 years ago. But when you see guys do some things on special teams, you can easily see that carrying over to what they're going to do in their roles. And so he'll be in the middle of it. And then we brought Shaheed in. I think he'll be in the competition. And so I described it at the big podium. I think we've got a lot of positions right now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And that's a great thing about having the month of August. We've got a month to evaluate and see where guys are at, because it'll look different than it did in April. And, you know, I think it wouldn't shock me, even in September, we'll see more of that as we go. Excuse me.
Kirk, you mentioned you started 1-10, 2-18. Pretty impressive, by the way.
Almost perfect.
Almost perfect.
Not quite. And the one was like, well, that actually both of them were flicks. Northern Illinois ran back a block kick. LeVar did, I think, was. And coincidentally, not their special teams guy, right? And then the Michigan State game, they probably had like 490 yards. I think we had 120. Ran back a kick, and Casper ran one of those screens, you know, perimeter screens where you can't, you don't have to block anybody. And so we were good at that, not blocking guys. And he caught the ball and scored. And so it was really kind of a fluke win. But the win number 3 was like a legitimate win.
So you should have started 0-20.
Could have, could have. Close.
Could anybody in today's environment
I don't think
survive
so.
that?
Tony Dungy had a quote or a tweet somewhere. I think it was this past offseason, maybe it was the last one, but because the NFL firing system, the season. You know, I know Chuck Noll history pretty well. You know, he got off to an auspicious beginning of his career. Tom Landry. A lot of coaches did back in the day, and you know, those guys wouldn't have survived. I'm not sure Coach K would have survived in today's world, right? So it just, God, it's there should be a lesson learned, but there's not going to be, because we're all so
Do you
impatient.
think coaches change the way they may do things because they know they don't have the runway that maybe you and other coaches did, you know?
Yeah, like if I
couple of decades ago.
was just starting right now, I'd probably be looking at the world a little bit differently than I did back then. Back then, like 2 things. Number one, I never had to be a head coach, so it wasn't like, believe me, I wanted us to be successful, and I wanted to be successful, but like you do in anything you do, but like if it didn't work out, it was not going to end my life. I was perfectly happy being a position coach. But, you know, if that's what your total ambition is, then yeah, probably make you do some stuff that maybe. So at least at that point, I was confident enough not to get. I wasn't going to start doing stupid stuff just to try to get to next week. I wasn't in the mood to do that.